Okay, we're going to go to Southern California to Juventud Guerrera. And anyway, how are you doing these days?
How are you, man?
I'm doing really good. We're here with Brian Alvarez and as well.
Good to hear you, man. Thanks for the interview.
Oh, you're very welcome. What have you been up to in the last couple of weeks since the deal in Australia?
Well, after that happened in Australia, I've been, I was trying to clear my mind and to think about what I'm going to do, and well, people really after that really got in contact with me really soon to see if I can be able to work, and I said yes, so I went to Puerto Rico. I went to do a couple shows to UPW, and actually there's going to be another show on the 20th with UPW. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get my thing clear, to make the people understand too. That was just a mistake to happen, but it's not the termination of my career,
What? I mean, do you have any explanation, I guess, as to what happened when you were over there and what led to your problem?
Well, in Australia, did you say?
Yeah, in Australia, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was really, I don't know, that was like a nightmare, man, because I didn't expect something like that happen to me, And so I was really surprised, I was just having fun with my friends, and just the things got out of hand, and I just lost my mind. I didn't remember really well what happened, and wow, I mean, that was just like a really strange situation I couldn't even control, So, well, that was really sad for me, but anyways, it's just like everybody's now I gotta do my best and to try to do my best, to get back in the business and to get back with the public and to get the loose again, to get the juice again,
Is there anything like at what point do you kind of like not remember what happened, and then was there a point where whatever happened like kind of wore off, and all of a sudden you were like, what were your thoughts when it all wore off, and what could you remember everything or?
No, I didn't remember everything. I don't remember when they say I pulled my pants down. I didn't remember that. That was the point until when I lost my mind, and well, that was about it. When I was talking with my friend, with Carlos and Ray, I remembered part of that, but after that they say I just went crazy, and I assume I did, because I mean I was under influence of some crazy stuff that they give it to me, and I should not take it, because I was in another country, and that was just really strange stuff.
And did you when you kind of like remember it, were you like in jail, or was it later than that, or before that, or?
Yeah.
Do you remember like the police coming?
Nah, yeah, I kind of remember that, but not really well, because everything that was just, I thought that was kind of in a dream, I didn't realize that was real. So when I wake up in the middle of the jail, supposedly, well, I was like really shocked, I was completely shocked, and I was just praying, to nothing bad happened to me,
Now, we should get so then anyway you got out, and basically you were sent home, and then you got the word that you were being terminated. Do you have any thoughts as far as you'd been with the company for several years and thought maybe unfair, or did you just kind of, what were your thoughts that you kind of all of a sudden out of nowhere it's kind of like your world crumbled?
Well, actually, when they let me go, I asked my lawyer, the lawyer today find for me, what is the situation? Can I still be able to work and finish the tour? And they say, yeah, just you need to talk with your company, and you you just need to tell them to what they want to do with you. So I tried to tell them. I tried to contact them, and Terry and some of the people who was there, and well, they just don't let me go. They take me straight to the plane. They say, "Cool, but you gotta go home." And I was like, I mean, come on, give me the opportunity to be working. I mean, that was just, I know that was maybe just a really strange thing, but I mean, I want to finish the tour. I want to be working here in Australia, and I want to do. And maybe I don't know if that was wrong or bad, but I was just trying to do that because I asked even the police, if that was really bad, if I can be able. Even my lawyer told me that I was able to work. So they say no. They sent me home, and when I realized that, I realized that was maybe gonna be something really bad for me. And so after a couple of days, Diana Myers called me and they say, Hubi, you are out of the contract, and so I'm sorry. And I say, oh my God.
You think it was because you got so much publicity on TV about it?
Maybe I think so. And well, the thing is too, I tried to get back my job. I went to Atlanta to talk with Diana, and she wasn't there. So I just realized to something like that. Oh, that was something that gotta happen to me. I don't know why. Maybe I was the guy to make the consequence, But I mean, I just my thought was to, in that moment, I just gotta be strong, I gotta be strong like always I've been, and just trying. Right now, I'm just trying to get back the respect of the people, because I'm not a really bad guy, I just make a mistake, just like like everybody, and well, it's a really bad and sad situation, for a worker like me,
Oh yeah. Now you last week went back to AAA, and Pena. It's been several years since you've worked for him. How did that all go?
That was really good, that was really interesting, for me, because I didn't expect Antonio Pena went to the show, because that was not a TV show, that was just a big show. So I was flying from Mexico, and I saw Antonio Pena, and he was there, just to see me. So we went to Tijuana, and for some reason we didn't talk, we didn't have a good conversation. So the next day he fly back to Mexico, and then I stay here, in California. So I think he wants me to work with him. He wants me to do something with the company, with AAA, and maybe I do. I mean, I got a lot of things to do. I mean, I would like to be working. My priority is to be working here in the United States, and with the same people and with the same ambient. I like AAA, and I'm not saying it's bad. Maybe I can go there and do really good stuff for the company too, But right now, my priority is to be working here in United States, and well, I don't know, maybe I can do something for them too,
We talked a little bit about the recent stuff. We want to give everyone about your background. You actually started wrestling very, very young. Your father was a famous pro wrestling heel, Rudo, in Mexico City. And was that kind of like where you got your start? And did you also have, are there other members of your family that have done wrestling?
No, just my father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you start going to matches with your father at a very young age?
Yeah, when I was really young, I used to go with my father. I used to watch my father in the ring, and even when I was like 6, 7 years old, I used to go to the gym, and I used to train with some other Songs wrestlers, and I used to play with them in the gym, and the father used to be the referees, and I really got a good memories about that,
And when they, how old were you when you first started wrestling professionally?
16. I was getting 17. Between 16 and 17.
Now, when I would have first saw you in AAA, how long had you been wrestling then? When you first started being on getting on television in Mexico?
I think 18, something like that. 18.
So probably a little over a year?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And how was that transition like? Because first year or so that you were on AAA, I mean, you kind of became a big star in a hurry.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was really difficult for me because in the beginning I was trying to be a babyface because I used to get a lot of moves, you know, and crazy stuff in my mind, you know, to actually have. And so that was my intention, you know, be a babyface and can't be flying around and do crazy spots. And you know, my father was one of the biggest healers in Mexico, so he told me, you know, son, you gotta be a healer, boy. So I was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm so young, and I'm really light also, you know. My weight is not so big, so let me be a babyface. And he got mad, you know, just like every father, you know. So you gotta do this because I'm this and this and that. And I was like, oh fuck, so I have to. So in the beginning, you know, in Mexico, you gotta carry on the baby face. You gotta be a base for the baby face. So that teach me a lot to me, you know, teach me how to be a good heel in the beginning of my career, because later on I realized what is to be a baby face. You know, so I think was good because now I got the compliment to know what is to be a heel and to know what is to be a baby face, you know. And the first years I was working in the very beginning of the programs, you know, in the very first matches, and after maybe a couple months, maybe a year, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, they was already working almost on the main events in AAA. So they give me the opportunity because I was doing well. They give me the opportunity to be working with them, and from there I just jump. You know, I just make a big explosion, and Rey Mysterio and myself, we start to work again with each other, and from there we start to make this new generation, you know, with Psychosis, Bigelow, Winners, some of those guys, you know.
That was a really wild time in AAA. It was kind of like, I just remember going to those shows in Tijuana and some of the other cities. It was really spectacular wrestling. Now, I thought that you were, it was actually fortunate that you were a heel because you made such a natural opponent for Ray, and you guys, you know, you were a little bit bigger than him, but you weren't. So you could play heel off of him, but you were all, you know, basically his size, so you could kind of fight even back and forth. And, you know, you and him had, like, sensational matches, plus you could do the father, son, uncle, nephew thing. You know, you had great tag matches, too, in that time period.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a couple of matches against uncle and nephew, against father and son, in Tijuana, Mexico, and a couple of cities in Mexico, and that was really interesting also.
Now, when during this period, I mean, is there any match that you had with Ray? Because, I mean, you had some matches with Ray on Mexican TV. You had matches in ECW, later in WCW. You probably wrestled him, I don't know, 50, 100 times. Is there any one of those matches that stands out more than the rest?
Yeah, in Mexico there's some too I remember. When we did a match that was car against car in a cage, and that was hilarious, man. I mean, we used to do a lot of spots, crazy spots with from the top of the jail, and a lot of Frankensteiners and a lot of suplex, you know, Japanese shells. You know, we was really, really young, and well, I mean, I watched that and I get excited, you know, because it's like, wow, I mean, it's a lot of good stuff, you know. Even in ECW, you know, the first matches that we have in ECW, that was really, really exciting for me until now, you know, because that was the thing to make us jump until here, you know. And well, a couple good matches in WCW, but I think you know, the beginning is the best, you know.
Yeah, son, what I guess if you look back, is there any specific thing or just a series of circumstances in WCW? Because you came in, you were wrestling those same kind of matches that you had in ECW, and then I mean you've had a lot of great matches in WCW, but at the same time, as the years went on, did you feel like maybe that like your good matches were not appreciated by management, or wasn't helping you to have good matches, or was there, you know, kind of that mentality that, like, you know, you're not pushed to excel?
You know, yeah, that was really, really difficult in WCW, you know, in the beginning. I mean, they saw me, and they thought that everyone wrestler in Mexico is going to be like me, so they brought, like, a bunch of Mexican wrestlers. And that was good for them, you know, and I mean, that was really good also for everybody, and also for the American crowd, you know, because they could realize what is the lucha libre style, you know. It's really exciting, you know. It's really exciting, and that's what the people want to see, you know. Exciting things. So I think the only bad thing with the lucha libre is that they don't have any psychology, you know. They don't know how to play in a match. They just been jumping around and around, and you know, that is good and that is exciting, but it's here. You gotta have a compliment, you know. So when I just started, I mean, it was really, I mean, kind of, because in that moment I couldn't even speak English so well. So I was just trying to do my best, you know. I was just trying to go outside and to do the best I can. And, you know, I got a lot of good helping, but I got a lot of bad steps, you know, with the booking, with the bookers, and with the people. So maybe they don't want to give me a real push since the beginning, you know, because maybe I was coming from Mexico, maybe because I was so young, or maybe because I didn't speak English. Oh, that was a lot of circumstances. They don't let me go through, you know, until now. So, but I mean, I think if you got a good mentality, and if you're really a hard worker, and if you got a lot of passion for what you do, I mean, you can go through, you know. Basically that's what I did.
What was your first reaction when they told you they wanted to take your mask?
Well, you're not gonna believe one thing. I just saw this match. I never see that match. I just saw that match like 2 days ago, and wow, man, that was one of my most memorial matches that I have in mind, because that was '98, and that was my first push. And they told me, you know, Juby, you wanna do this? And I was like, no, you know, I don't want to lose my mask. That's my tradition. My father's still wearing the mask, still having the mask in Mexico for maybe 20 years, and I'm going to lose my mask after a couple years. I don't want to do that. They say, well, we are not asking you. You have to do this. And I was like, fuck, you know. I didn't know what to do, you know, but that was my first push, and I was on TV, and I was doing well, and I was having really good matches. And I mean, I just went outside and do my best, you know, and well, I think after that was really good actually for me and for the people, because I think without the mask I can have a better contact, you know, physically and with the people, you know, with the crowd. And I think that here in America they don't care too much about the mask, you know, and I realized that, and I'm happy about it, you know. Now I don't really care about it. I think that was a good. Besides that, I think it was good, anyways, you know.
Do you think they could have done more? I mean, I remember when you lost your mask. I think it was in San Francisco. That I was thinking that it could have been built up longer and better, and I guess that's partially because, you know, from following Mexican wrestling and how they can make that mask match. I mean, that's the ultimate match in Mexico, basically.
I know, you know. And actually, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know that, but, you know, in Mexico, you used to have 30-minute matches, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And here it's like you go outside, you only have on live TV 5 minutes, 6 minutes, on a pay-per-view maybe 10 or 15. And, well, anyways, you know, I think the most important in a match is to have a good psychology and to make the people understand where you want to go, what is the point to where you want to make clear, you know.
Did you, like, what was your father's reaction when he got the word or you told him that you were going to have to lose his mask?
You know, in that moment, we didn't spoke with each other. We used to have a little trouble, and you know, just like every father and sons. And you know, after a couple of months, I realized that he was really sad about it. You know, he was really sad because he didn't know why I did it. You know, he didn't know how is the company or how is the tradition here in America, and so he was kind of sadly, you know. And after a while, he realized too that was my job, that was my work, and that was my career. And he just gave me support after a while, you know. And right now we got a good relationship with my dad.
Going back, you know, with when you were a kid and everything, do you remember like any specific matches or rivals of your father? Like, I mean, I remember when I first started watching Lucha Libre, and I would watch your father wrestle Santo in Octagon. And do you remember like further back than that?
If I remember some of his matches,
like his big rivalries and things like that.
I mean, against another wrestlers with another.
Yeah, like you know, he used to wrestle Santo in Octagon. I mean, I remember him, you know, being like I'm thinking about 1989, 1990, big program with Octagon, and I remember seeing him in Japan with Santo, and you know, always wrestling with those guys especially.
You know, I mean, I told this my father. You know that you know what I realize now. So I've been working here in America to. If you want to get over, you got to be a baby face. You have to be a baby face. Otherwise, it's really difficult. And he said, you know, son, you're right. You know, here in Mexico, there's a couple guys just like Octagon, like Santos. They're not the greatest wrestlers, but like they are baby face in Mexico. You know, the people it's all the time with them. You know, and it's really difficult for a heel to get over. Even when my father got over, you know, and was really respectful. But anyways, in Mexico. That is the tradition, you know, and that was just one of the things that my father told me.
This is from William Gallagher, who says, All Japan has hired many of the luchadors that were let go by WCW. That's right, because Halloween's been there, Damien's been there, Super Colo's gone, and Psychosis is going in January. And would you be interested in joining them, going to All Japan?
Well, right now I'm interested in almost everything, you know. I just need to know what is the expectation and what would be the results, you know, if I go there. I just want to do a good thing for me, you know, and for the people, for my fans too, also.
Now, a lot of people may not know, but now what's your status? I mean, you have a family, you have a young child, and are you basically living in Mexico City or Southern California, or you kind of go back and forth?
I'm back and forth, you know. I'm back and forth because, like I told you, I'm trying to keep my name alive here. And, you know, actually, I'm thinking about AAA also, you know. But I didn't know until, you know, and I didn't know nothing about it because I know WWF says to, maybe they're interested in me, but not now, you know. So maybe I just gotta wait, you know, and to keep my things clear, you know, and show everybody too. I'm a straight up person, and well, that's basically it.
This is from Rob Bahari, who says, what did you think of AAA? You know, now seeing that and compare that to when you were there several years ago.
Well, for me, it's like. I mean, if I go back there, I really gotta have to have a good conversation with Toño Peña, because what I want to do is something different. You know, I just don't want to go back and be one of the Vatos Locos or one of those guys. You know, I want to go back maybe, and I want to do really good stuff, something to really I know I can do. You know, and I know I can turned that company really well, with some really good ideas. And if I do that, I really gonna have to spend more time in Mexico. But I didn't know nothing until I spoke with him, and if he's interested, and I know maybe he will, maybe we can do something really good stuff, for AAA, because it's the same thing for AAA since a couple years. It's the same status, and they don't, it's still good, it's still maybe exciting, but they don't change, they don't have the creation that they used to have when Rey Mysterio and myself was there, And but maybe Rey Mysterio is not going to be there, but maybe I can grab some ideas from here, from the American culture.
Now, when you started getting to be a pretty big star in AAA, your style was not. I mean, there was a lot of lucha libre in your style, obviously, but you had there's a lot of Japanese wrestling in your style. Was that from watching? Obviously, it's from watching videotapes. Were there any Japanese, whether it be Satoru Sayama or any Japanese wrestlers that you really liked that really kind of influenced your style, or was it maybe just Eddie Guerrero?
That was a little bit of everybody, but more basically the Japanese style and also American style. The American style is the psychology, how to sell, and the Japanese style is just the strongest. The how to make a suplex, how to and the psychology also. All Japan, they are the best. Misawa and Kawada. I mean, they are the best for me, and I learned a lot from them. Also for the heavy junior weights, like Liger, like Benoit, also Eddie too, also, and I got a lot of influence from them, and also for Tiger Mask, the first one in Dynamite Kid. Yeah.
Some of your favorite people to wrestle, both in Mexico and here in the U.S.
Excuse me?
Who were some of your favorite people to wrestle down in Mexico and?
Well, the same people down here, I mean, I used to have a good. Well, actually, there's a couple guys today still in Mexico, like Winners. Now it's Abismo Negro. There's another one too. He used to be. He's Blue Panther nephew.
Oh, Black Warrior?
Yeah, Black Warrior.
Oh, he's super.
Yeah, he's really good. And super crazy also. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
But besides that, there's no really young guys, like us, they're most of them, they are really like 40, 45 years old, and, it's just a different style.
Well, have you seen Ricky Marvin?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen him, I didn't know how it's him, and I don't know how it's his style.
Very good flyer. I think he's pretty young too. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
When you were in WCW, a lot of the guys on top were older guys and slower, and they worked the American style. And would you have wanted to be on top and have to work with those guys, or were you happy being able to work with the light heavyweights like Jericho and Ray and Sikoa and everybody?
I think that's a good question, and because I was really interesting to be working with Kevin Nash, with Booker T. Maybe with Hogan, one time I spoke with him and I told, and even the same thing I told Kevin Nash, man, if you and me, we work with each other and we do a program, not just with me, with the young, like Rey Mysterio, and because if you really want to work with us, with the young guys, you don't have idea how over you're gonna be. And he was like, yeah, maybe we will, but he never did it, he never did something really serious about it. He was just playing around, maybe because he was afraid to, or he just don't want to put us over. But that was not the fact, the fact is everybody's going to be over, just because we are going to be doing something together, and it's going to be, that was going to be so interesting for the people, for the crowd. But they never want to do it, they are really jealous. And they just want to keep his clique together, They never want to let somebody pass, And that was really observed, really bad.
Did you get frustrated as far as in WCW when you got, like, let's say you and Billy Kidman, just as another period, you were doing some of the best matches, you were doing the best matches in the company for a while there, and yet when it was over, it's kind of like there was nothing new for him and there was nothing new for you, and, you know, it was kind of like you did all those matches and it was like you would think that it should elevate both of you, and instead you just kind of stayed in the same position.
Yeah, you know, that was some point that we got really frustrated, you know, because after we have the best matches and we got the crowd, the most exciting moments in the night, and so they even they don't care, you know. They was pushing guys to they don't even. I mean, they was putting a lot of money and a lot of productions, you know, and people they don't even deserve it, you know, and that was really frustrated for us. But you know what you can do when you are young, and what you can do when you have the whole company almost against you, you know. So that was just maybe take the things easy, you know, and go with the flow, and maybe just catch the opportunity later on, you know.
Let's go to Vinny in New Jersey. Vinny, you're first up.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Really good. How you doing? How are you?
I'm alright. Hoovy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a 20-year-old kid in college, and about the pills and everything, don't worry about that because it could have happened to anybody, you know. And a lot, we were just learning about that stuff, you know. There could have been anything in that. So it's a blessing in disguise, I think, because WCW they just didn't know what to do with you. They don't know what to do with anybody, actually. But yeah, just hang in there, and if the WWF's interested in you, then just play your cards right, and you'll get there. But I want to ask you about when your first match in WCW. Gene Okerlund, he went to interview you. Anyone remember this? Went to interview you, Hoovy, and he said you were trying to talk in Spanish. I don't think you could have even you didn't know English yet then. He's like, oh, take it somewhere else, buddy. Like, what a jackass that guy is. You remember it at all?
Yeah, I remember. You know, that was really. I mean, I don't know how was it, but I mean, I remember that was against Billy Kidman, and the things they got me over. But after the match, they said, you know, you gotta do this with the microphone, and I was like, what? And when they put the microphone on me, I just speak Spanish, you know. I didn't know what the fuck was that. So that was really funny. And thank you for your support, man. Thank you very much, and thank you all you people. And you know, I'm just praying, you know, to get back to the business, to get back on television, and to get again fans happy again. That's my goal, basically.
You know, they knocked you about your mic skills when you first came in there, but I remember on a Thunder, I think, and you were commentating, and look who was out there. The funniest thing I heard in like the longest time while watching WCW is when you said the juice is loose. That's the real juice right there. When Luger was posing. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Did you get heat for that?
Yeah, I got a lot of heat, but I got a lot of things, you know. I got a lot of good support too, you know.
How did they approach you about that job? What did they tell you to do when you were out there?
Nothing, man. I mean, they just told me, you know, you want to do this because I did it before to have a complete show. I did it just for one match.
No guidance.
And after that match, they told me, you know, you want to do it again and I complete the show. And I was hurt, you know. That was after I broke my elbow. So I said, yeah, why not? So they put me in the microphone, and I was just losing, you know. They just got loose right there, baby.
One more thing about Raw. I don't know if you guys touched on it before, but the show seems so much more enjoyable without Triple H GH there. I'm so sick and tired of seeing him.
I mean, to me, he's awesome, but I don't know.
He's so much of anybody.
Exactly. He's a great worker. Great mic skills, whatever. But I can't stand seeing them involved in every angle. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, too much of anyone isn't a good thing. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of good to have a break, but I think they took too many guys off. It almost
Oh,
seemed like,
yeah, Jericho wasn't there. A lot of people weren't there. Because basically the whole thing revolved around Foley.
and
That was
Vince.
overkill. Just like, I think we should start a word count, see how many times JR uses the word hellacious. I had like 10 times I heard him say it last night. I mean, he's the best broadcaster out there, but enough's enough with that word.
Well, he's true. I don't know what to say.
It's true. It's true.
All right. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
What do you
I
think
wanna
of
ask
the
you-
top guys in the WWF? I know you love The Rock, and what do you think of some of the other guys?
In WWF?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of good people, you know, too. I can work with them and have great matches, you know. And I'm really excited if they just give me the opportunity to work with one of them, no matter who, you know. I know I can burn the house, baby. And
What,
well, you know, I like everybody, you know. I like, you know, I don't know, I mean, everybody. I mean, basically, you know.
Tell everyone the story about when you first met The Rock.
Well, that was in Miami. We arrived in Miami, and now I sleep on the plane, and when I wake up, he was in front of me, like two or three steps in front of me. So I said, "Oh my God, this is not possible," you know. So I was trying to hide, you know. And so he went out of the plane. And I was waiting for about 5 minutes, you know, a very good time, you know, to let him go, you know. So when I went outside, he was there waiting for me. And I was like, oh, my God, it's not possible, you know. And he said, hey, man, how are you? How you doing? And I was like, I mean, I was shocked, you know, for a moment. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? How are you? Good to see you. And he was, hey, nice to meet you, you know. And what you've been doing, and I like your matches with Rey Mysterio. I think you're very talented, and I just saw the last match that you have with Rey Mysterio, and that was great. That was hilarious. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is telling me that to me. And I was like, oh my God, you know what? This is a pleasure for me. I mean, thank you very much, and you know, you're the great one. I was trying to play it around, you know, and he said, no, man, you're the juice. and you know, that was really like really funny. He's a really respectful people and a really like a happy people. And then he said, you know, where you coming from? And I was like, coming from I don't know where. And he said, and did you say finally the juice has come back? And I was like, no, man, I didn't. That was not my intention. You know, I don't want to do that anymore. And he said, you know, don't worry about it. I like it. I think that's entertainment. And I was like, wow, you know, thank you, and thank you, and you know, bye, this and this, and that was really funny, you know.
Let's go to Todd in New York. Todd, you're next up with Hoovy.
What's up, Dave? Brian?
Hey.
Hey, Hoovy Juice, how's it going, man?
How's it going, man? Pretty good, thank you.
I got two questions for you. I'm a big fan of yours, by the way. I hope to see you back sometime soon. First of all, I was wondering what you thought of the WCW racial discrimination suit. Obviously, I mean, I don't want you to like burn any bridges or anything, but just sort of the general validity of, you know, what some of the luchadors and some other wrestlers in the company think.
The Sonny Ono thing.
I mean, basically, about the other guys, I don't know, man. I think, well, I don't know. I mean, it's really difficult to answer that question because I don't know why, you know. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, maybe because I realize maybe because of the politics, you know, basically.
Do you feel like that the guys were held back for racial reasons, or do you think that it's just one of those things where the bookers just really didn't have an idea of what to do with them, and that held them back? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, maybe both things, you know, but you never know. I mean, you know, I don't want to talk bad about the people, you know, and you know, you know, everybody got a different point of view, and well, just my point of view is to they got really a lot of troubles, you know, to get over here in the United States, and that was because different reasons, you know. One was the English, second was the psychology, and maybe the third one was the politics, you know. And in the politics, you can get involved a lot of things, you know.
Okay, yeah, and the other question I had was, what period have you most enjoyed in your career? I mean, of course, you were with AAA for a long time, you know, Poma Azteca with Conan, and then, you know, through ECW and WCW, you've really been in a lot of places. Like, what experience have you enjoyed the most?
Well,
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Hello? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. I was saying I really enjoy everything, you know. I really enjoy it when I play. But basically most of it was easy view, but not sure if I remember that.
Hoovy, your phone's like dying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're only getting like a little bit of what you're saying.
Okay, so what I was saying is basically I enjoyed everything, you know, AAA, ECW, and also WCW. You know, I think in everyone I got a little bit of good memories. You know, everything was good, really, and I got really good memories for everyone.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, Hoovy. Dave, quick question. Did you get my email yesterday regarding the last show that didn't sell out?
Yes, you saved me because you know what? Everybody, including me, I looked it up, and several other people emailed me and had that the last one that didn't sell out was Calgary Stampede in '97. And then I got your email and I checked it out, and you know you had the Charlotte show last year, which in fact was the last one to sell out. And if you hadn't sent me that, I actually had written all this stuff about the Calgary Stampede show this morning before I got your email.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure you got it because like I dug through my observers and tried to find it there. Anyway, enjoy the show.
Thanks very much for that because you caught one that like nobody caught.
Oh, it's no problem, Dave. Bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Todd. I want to ask you, Hoovy, about what's your thoughts as far as Eric Bischoff perhaps running the company again? You know, you worked under Eric Bischoff and you worked for the company without Eric Bischoff. And any thoughts on your relationship with Eric, or what your thoughts are of how he would view what happened, and do you think he'd be willing to take you back?
You know, I really don't know about that, but I used to really have I can say maybe a good relationship with him, but you know, you never know. He's kind of strange, but he's still a good people, you know. I mean, he got a lot of discussion with a lot of different people, you know, and you know, I mean, for me, it's like he helped me, but you never know how much he wants to help you, you know, and so maybe he can hire me, you know, maybe not, but I don't really, I mean, that is not my point, you know. I mean, it's just, everybody got a different point of view of him, and for me, it's just like a little bit, you know, I mean, basically, he used to support most of the time to the big names, and well, you know, I mean, if he is really a businessman or a really, I think he is, you know, he can realize what is the most important thing for the company, you know, and all depends what if he want to do now.
Also, real quick, I want to throw two names by you. One I know you know very well, another I don't know if you do, but somebody asked about this. Everything that's happened, you know, you grew up kind of like, I guess, watching Jushin Liger with his matches in Japan, and then you finally got to wrestle him. You even got his belt, although he didn't bring the belt to the ring. And that match was the match that you broke your elbow. And I know that, like, you were real upset with him for not catching you. I mean, have you talked to him at all in the last year or so, or is it just kind of like he left and you kind of never really resolved it?
You know, I mean, it was really strange for me because, you know, I used to watch him, you know, I used to see his videos and everything, you know, I used to have a lot of respect for him. And so when I was doing the match, you know, he was there, you know, he was, you know, putting attention in everything, And I say, you know, man, I'm gonna do this fly outside. Can you catch me? And he said, yeah. And I realized he will, you know. And so when I did it, I fly too high, really too high, you know, just to break my own fault, you know. I just put all my trust in him, and I got a little bit afraid because he saw me so high. Or because he just moved at the last minute, you know, he moved, and I see that again one time, and I was like, I mean, he just moved, you know, in 1 second, and in that second I was in the floor already. So after the match, he said, you know, just, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, you know. He never said nothing about it, why he did it or why he didn't catch me, or he didn't say nothing. He just said, I'm sorry, you know, and I realized maybe that was not intentionally, but anyways, you know, I mean, well, I just maybe lose a little bit of respect, you know, not in the way of what he does, you know, just in the way in what he did in the match, you know.
When there's another wrestler, I don't know if you've seen him or not, but somebody asked about him. Have you ever seen Shima Nobunaga? Actually, he was in WCW for a little while, although he's gotten a lot better since then. Who's one of the Ultimo Dragons guys?
No, I haven't seen him in a while. No.
Yeah. He's really gotten good.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he came in. He was in WCW for a couple of shows and did some 6-man tags, and then, you know, just kind of disappeared.
I think that was Dragon's last match.
The 6-man tag?
No, he had a singles match with Shima.
I don't remember. I remember him showing up. I mean, I know he did. I remember he did a couple of matches. I remember because he wrestled Jericho once too. Mm-hmm. But he started. The first one was a 6-man tag. The reason is there was this match. It was the opener on a Nitro or a Thunder. I don't remember which one. And I had never heard of Shima Nobunaga, and I don't think that I may have heard of Judo Sue and Sumo Fuji, but they were a trio against, and I don't remember who, but they had this spectacular match, and I was going like, who are these guys? You know what I mean? You know, when you have these guys that you've never heard of, and they're on Nitro, you immediately think it's probably not going to be very good, let alone, you know, like that good. And then it was one of those things like, man, these guys are good. And then it was like, well, they'll probably never get another. Yeah, they'll get buried next. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that feeling sometimes, like somebody would come in and have a good match, and you would just think like, oh boy, you know, now they're not going to get a push?
Yeah, I know what is that feeling, and I've been feeling that feeling for many times. You know, you see one guy and you say, maybe this guy is going to get good, he's going to get better, and you never see him again. You know.
Yeah. Have you wrestled for Ultimate Pro before, or is this your first time?
No, I wrestled the last month. I did a match with them. Yeah. Did you
enjoy? I mean, how was the show and everything?
That was good. You know, that was really kind of interesting. You know, because that was my that was like a little Royal Rumble, you know, with cruiserweight guys, little light guys, and I did a running, and I was beating everybody, and at the end I put over his champions, you know. So, you know, that was kind of interesting.
Do you know Christopher Daniels?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen him wrestle or anything?
No, not at all.
Okay. I know he's on the show. I think he's their champion. Brian, Daniels is their UPW champion?
Last time I checked, he was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
All right.
Let's go to Chris in Long Island. Chris, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? He kind of answered this before, but this is one of the questions I had. I guess obviously then he's okay with The Rock. There's no heat there from his mocking The Rock on Nitro and Thunder. There's no problems there between him and The Rock.
Oh, The Rock was he laughed about it, didn't he?
He laughed about it, okay. Because I haven't heard all of the show. I only caught some of it, and so I don't want to, if I repeat anything you guys have already touched on, and I apologize.
Yeah. Hoovie, he pretty much laughed about it, right? When you talked to him about, like, you're doing finally, the juices come back and all that?
So would he, if you were to go to WWF at some point, does he think something with The Rock would be done, at least, maybe not so much a program, but, something where he's mocking him and Rock kind of comes out and plays off of that and pretty much, I guess, and, buries Hoovie just as far as the interview goes, kind of like he does with everybody, but would he be up for doing something like that? Or is that something he's like looking forward to doing if he were to get there, is do a little something with The Rock based on the way he used to mock him in WCW? Because I think that could be really entertaining if they did that.
I don't know. I have some ideas when you bring that up. Did you hear all that, Hoovie?
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that?
I mean, it's just, I think it depends about WWF, what they want to do with me, and what is the idea that they want to do with me. And, I mean, in my mind, do whatever, I think the most important is to be entertainment. Is to be entertainment for the people, And I mean, I've been with The Rock, it doesn't matter who, or with who.
Okay. Also, too, does he have, as far as if you were to go there, the one difference between the WWF and most of the promotions that Hoovie's probably worked in, the ropes are, a lot of Hoovie's moves are springboard moves, and their ropes really aren't equipped for that, not the type that he's been doing, at least not in the center of the ropes, because I noticed guys like Taco kind of have to go over to the, near the turnbuckle to do some of his moves, and a couple of times he first tried to do them, he almost killed himself doing it. So is that a concern of his? He wouldn't have to completely change his style or anything. It's not like he just lives off springboard moves, but a lot of his moves, basically rely on that, and he probably won't be able to do some of them in the WWF. So is that something he's thought about at all, or how would he maybe try and work around that same way Taka did, or?
Basically, I don't. Sometimes I've been thinking about it. But it doesn't really bother me at all because I know I can do my thing. I know I can. The ropes are really a little bit high than WCW, but that doesn't matter. The most to be entertainment is to have good matches. And I think I can.
Oh no, absolutely. I know. You're an incredible worker. I know. The first time I ever saw you work was actually in ECW. I think the match you had with Mysterio was the first time I ever saw him. And I saw those, and I had just seen the matches with Ray and Psychosis, and as soon as I saw the matches with Hoovie and Ray, I thought, and there's not a knock on Psychosis, but I thought Hoovie was much better than Psychosis just from seeing him, and I just thought the matches were much better, and so I was wondering why that, the Psychosis Ray feud was hyped so much as this incredible thing, which it was, but I was wondering why I'd never heard of Hoovie over here in the States, and I was very impressed the first time I ever saw him, and I think you're just an incredible worker. So I hope, wherever you do end up, I hope they utilize you the right way. That's the one fear WWF doesn't really have a track record of pushing small guys and small, Latino wrestlers. But with being that you have personality, they might actually do something with you, and that you have the charisma to work around that. I really hope they do, if they do pick you up.
There's always a way, if you really want it. There's a way. There's a way. Anyone that's that talented, there's a way to get them over. The idea that you can't, it's a question of you don't want. You don't want to, but it's not so much not want to as much as the mentality is just kind of not there. Some people have this idea, and it's just like this equates this, and it's like a small guy equates someone on the bottom, and it's like if you're a little bit more creative, you can find ways to. I'm not saying like small guy is going to main event WrestleMania,
right?
But there's things that you can do to make them a very entertaining part of the show, especially because they wrestle different. Hoovie wrestles differently than almost anyone in the WWF. In fact, pretty much anyone.
Right.
So, and it's always good to have something different on the show rather than when every match is the same, or you want a variety. That's what makes a good show.
Lose Crash Holly in the shuffle.
Yeah. They still don't they know they got some good ideas with Crash Holly, but then when they're in between good ideas, they have no idea. You know what I mean?
It's like all they tried. The only time they've ever, other than when that was still comedy too, but the only time they ever tried to push guys like Kai and Tai was really when they would do comedy, make them like, the skits.
Yeah, the Japanese comedy.
Going out drinking with them and make them like the goofy little Japanese guys. And I mean, and to some extent that is entertaining if you do it the right way, I guess. And there's comedy that they can do with that, and it's good. But there's got to be a way of getting not just the small guys, but just the foreign wrestlers in general, even the ones that don't speak English, without being that stereotypical like Japanese American hating heel or or the typical like Eddie Guerrero character that they have out there now, and that WCW tried to push off. I think there's got to be ways, and I would just like to see it. If they ever got guys over, like, just try to bring in a guy like, say, I don't know, Kobashi, and just see if they could do something with him.
Well, that's totally different. Kobashi's actually a really big guy.
I know he's a big guy, but being, I don't think he speaks English or anything. If he does, it's probably broken English. But other than like sticking him with the Mr. Fuji and having him just come out and rip on America or something, I mean, I would just love to see one day if somebody could just get him over somehow, where it wasn't just based on the obvious, and see if they could ever mix things up like that and just try something different for a change.
Well, you know what it is? It's writers. Yeah, the thing with the writers that they have now is that the writers, their version of wrestling is the WWF, because that's what they know. So they learn, so they're writing based on WWF knowledge that they have combined with knowledge of comedy from the television shows they've written.
Right.
So you don't have, it's like if you had a writer who, Bob Mould would have actually been an interesting one. He worked for WCW for a while, but never really had a lot of input. He was like a big-time Japanese wrestling fan, so he probably would have the mentality, okay, this worked in Japan, so maybe we can make it work in the States, whereas most of the people who didn't, had never been to Japan or didn't study Japan, when they see a small guy, it's just one of those things where, well, he's too small, we put him in the ring with one of the big guys, and it's a hard match to take serious, and then you just kind of don't have, it's tough. It's going to take a booker and a writer who has just decided, I'm getting it over, and they will get it over when they decide they will, rather than someone who's like, okay, I've got all these guys, and they tell me to push them, but I don't know how, and I'll put them in this division, and, not emphasize the division, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, one question I had about Raw, and just the WWF in general, if I could. On last night's show, they were pushing all these injuries, the Al Snow thing with the cinder block, the China pile driver and everything. Do you think they're maybe, or subconsciously trying to make up for the whole Triple H car thing? Just that, since that was done so poorly and just was so insulting to everybody, and even Triple H, too, supposedly has herniated discs and he's in traction now, but meanwhile the car thing didn't put him in traction, but this Hell in a Cell match put him in traction. Do you think they're just trying to maybe get around the car thing and just level things off again so that people are back to... So maybe they realize that by them not selling the car drop...
I think they overdid it.
I think they did too. I was thinking the same thing because they've used I think it was only on Big Show, so that might not count. But I know they did the cinder block thing before, and just seeing a cinder block break over somebody's head is kind of unrealistic as it is without their face being smashed in. But I think maybe they realized when they did that, since they caught so much flack for it, that it was going to be hard for them to ever do any kind of angles where to put anybody over like it's just hurting somebody, like the Spike Pile Driver on China. And she's a woman, so it's a little different, so they might think there's a little more believability in that. But it's going to be hard to get those typical wrestling storylines over where these guys beat this guy up and took him out, and he's out for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, that they may feel they're not going to be able to do that anymore because Triple H came out of everything looking like Superman.
If you want to get everything over, the point is to not do anything for a long time before you do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make a big deal out of it rather than do it 6 times in one show. I think that...
But I think times last night that it just meant nothing.
But that's kind of the way they do things now. Anyway, everything's so rushed, they don't take time for things anymore, just in general, not just the WWF, but I don't think they would take the time to do that and hope we forgot about it. I think they were just doing it and hoping to shove it down our throats so that we realize, hey, wow, look at these guys get hurt.
I think they were doing it more for a storyline for Mick Foley.
Yeah, that's true.
For Mick Foley, because Mick Foley's going to be taking time off, so I think that's the storyline is more than the idea of we're trying to make up for the... I don't think that the making up for the Triple H thing even entered anyone's mind, because I think that they kind of felt that, okay, we need to have a whole bunch of guys hurt to make the storyline work, and so they just had a whole bunch of guys hurt all in one show.
That the whole thing hurt. I think I emailed you about this a few days ago. I think that car thing alone kind of hurt. I mean, it didn't really hurt just to me and to some of the fans. It kind of hurt the way they were trying to sell that cell match as being so dangerous, because if we couldn't see a guy get seriously injured from the car fall, then what were we to think was going to happen to anybody, especially Triple H being a guy that survived the car, in that match that was going to hurt them or bring them near death or in their career, or all the things they were trying to sell about the match. And plus, I know they were selling the fact that all the injuries, all the bumps that HBK and Foley took in their other matches led to the shortening of their careers. But the cell match that ended Foley's career was based on a stipulation, not just the injury. It's not like they sold that he had to retire because of the bump he took, or that and you know, do you know what I'm saying? As far as like,
I do know what you're saying. They're almost assuming too much knowledge because you know, Sean's career didn't end in the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know if it shortened it or not. It probably didn't lengthen it. That's
right.
for sure. And as far as Foley, I mean, the one thing with that match, the famous match that he had in Pittsburgh, is, I mean, he was hurt real bad.
Right.
You know, and everyone knows. I mean, everyone knows he was hurt real bad.
Right. But they
I love how they've rewritten history in what order the bumps took place.
Yeah. I was just that's exactly.
Everybody was saying that. Yeah.
I said that the through the cage bump happened first, and then he says I brought him back up to the top of the cage and I threw him off through the table, and I was like sitting there just thinking, how can you? And that's one match. I mean, you can go back to other matches like the time Foley and Shawn Michaels were talking about their match that nobody remembers. There's certain matches you could do that and get away with it.
That's the one match you couldn't.
But that's the one match you couldn't really, because that's the one match that everybody, whether they're a Smart or Mark or whatever, everybody knows that match. I mean, that's the one.
Well, the thing is,
maybe Undertaker just forgot.
He might have forgot, but what? I mean, that was pre-tape too. This is almost
that's a pre-tape that they could have stopped it.
Yeah.
You know, you're totally right on that because you know the thing with that match is there's really only 3 moves in that match. He went off the top, he went through the cage, and he got slammed on the thumbtacks.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers anything else because there really wasn't anything else in that match.
Not really.
And everyone has. If you didn't watch that match live, the fact is everyone has seen a videotape of it, whether it's in Beyond the Mat or whether it's on 2020 or where it's been on WWF TV 500,000 times. That's the one match where everyone knows those 3 bumps in order.
And and because the whole thing to the match too was after he took that first bump off the cage and everybody thought the match was over and they were taking him out on a stretcher. They thought it was legitimately over. Or they were just going to sell it that it was over. Then he came back up and climbed back up, and that was that huge pop that he got from the crowd for getting off the stretcher after everybody thought he was dead or not going to be able to wrestle anymore. And that whole thing, that's why it was so fresh in everybody's mind too, because it was so shocking that it was so early, and then the rest of the match was built on the fact that this didn't even stop him, you know what I mean? So I was just kind of like, especially because it was a pre-tape. If Undertaker forgot, so be it, you know, but if they could have said, cut, hold on, let's just reverse that, or just splice
they should have.
Do something, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's not the kind of mistake they usually make. You know, what's your thoughts on matches like that? I mean, like, the real crazy bump off the top of a cage 15 feet. You know, I mean, what do you think of all that? I mean, you've never really done anything. I mean, your stuff is more spectacular moves in the ring and spectacular dives out of the ring rather than falling from 20 feet.
Well, you know what? I used to do a lot of crazy shit like that. Well, not exactly like that, but in cage, you know, in Mexico, and well, you know, there's some points that you don't even care about what you're doing, you know. And I know Mick Foley, you know, he's just like a crazy motherfucker, just like everyone of us, you know. And I mean, he's just one of those guys who they don't care, you know, and they just want to do the most crazy things they can, you know. And I mean, it's just really, really strange, but at the same time, it's really exciting, you know, and it's one of the most memorable things for the wrestling fans, you know, in this moment, at this time.
Yeah, it is. It's memorable. Well, you were in Los Angeles in that cage match was it 4 or 5 years ago, with all that stuff coming off the top of the cage. Do you remember that match? At the sports arena in L.A.? It was a different kind of cage, like was it Star Cage or something? Star of Death?
I don't remember really well. That was in L.A., you say?
Yeah, it was like the last time probably AAA came to L.A., I think.
Yeah, I think I remember now. Yeah, I mean, that was just one of those things, you know, really crazy. And it just depends what is your moment, you know, what you want to do or what is the expectation for the people, you know, in that moment, you know. And so I can tell, you know, it's really exciting even for us, you know. It's really exciting for us doing that crazy things, you know.
What do you think? How far do you think you can go safely? You know, doing something. Has there ever been anything where that you've done it and then afterwards you've gone, oh my God, that wasn't very safe? Now that I think back on it.
You know, I mean, everything is different, you know, and maybe I don't want to. I mean, even if I saw like one bomb like a couple years ago and I say I don't want to do it again, maybe in the next year I get the opportunity to do something more crazy than that, and I will do it, you know. and I will do it because that's my job and that's what I love, you know, and that's what I love to do.
Chris, anything else?
Yeah, if I could ask.
Well, let the Brother Brian guy and then you can go.
Okay. I don't know if this was touched on earlier. Again, like I said, I couldn't hear the show, but was Hoovy, while he was in WCW, was he ever by any of the people that that had power, the Nashes or the Hogans or whatever, was he ever like directly kind of made aware of the fact that they were going to hold him back, or that were they ever? Were they ever like? I mean,
they don't tell you. You just sort of. Just learn
maybe not with them directly, but like kind of like that whole vanilla midget story that he would say about Malenko and Benoit. Were there ever things that he knew that, or was it that was he lucky because he was friends with guys like Conan and Mysterio and they were kind of friends with Nash? So that's one of the reasons that those guys were given a break and weren't treated the same way that the other luchadors like La Parker and so on were. That that he was actually given somewhat of a chance, maybe because for whatever reason Nash was friends with Ray and everybody, or. Did he ever get the feeling, that he knew he was being held back, especially when he'd have those great matches with Kidman and guys, and it would just be squashed?
I mean, it's like, I mean, was there ever anything where guys would come up to you and go, "My God, you're really being held back," or was it just kind of like you just kind of had that frustration because you were having good matches and you weren't going any further?
I mean. Whatever happened in the company, you know what is going on, because you're in the locker room, you're outside of the locker room, you know what's going on, and so it's frustrating sometimes, but it's depending about you, how you want to see it, and how happy you want to be, and it's difficult, but it's at the same time it's funny, it doesn't matter, it's just. Well, you never know. Sometimes you say, "Fuck, why this guy is happening to me, or why this guy they got a lot of power, or why we don't have that power, But it's just all depends on the circumstances, and I mean it's just timing, maybe, for everybody.
Brian, you've got a real quick question because we got to run right in a second. Okay, we are totally out of time right now. Hoovy, I want to thank you very, very much for doing the show. We finally got to do it. And I'll be seeing you on the 20th when we go back down there. And we'll see everybody tomorrow at 6. We're going to have Tom Zink on. Okay, we're going to go to Southern California to Juventud Guerrera. And anyway, how are you doing these days?
How are you, man?
I'm doing really good. We're here with Brian Alvarez as well.
Good to hear you, man. Thanks for the interview.
Oh, you're very welcome. What have you been up to in the last couple of weeks since the deal in Australia?
Well, after that happened in Australia, I've been, I was trying to clear my mind and to think about what I'm going to do, and, well, people really, after that, really got in contact with me really soon to see if I can be able to work. And I said, yes, so I went to Puerto Rico. I went to do a couple shows to UPW, and actually there's going to be another show on the 20th with UPW. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get my thing clear, to make the people understand too. That was just a mistake to happen, but it's not the termination of my career,
What? I mean, do you have any explanation, I guess, as to what happened when you were over there and what led to your problem?
Well, in Australia, did you say?
Yeah, in Australia, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was really, I don't know, that was like a nightmare, man, because I didn't expect something like that happen to me, And so I was really surprised, I was just having fun with my friends, and just the things got out of hands, and I just lost my mind. I didn't remember really well what happened, and wow, I mean, that was just like a really strange situation I couldn't even control, So, well, that was really sad for me, but anyways, it's just like everybody's now I gotta do my best and to try to do my best, to get back in the business and to get back with the public and to get the loose again, to get the juice again, you know.
Is there anything like at what point do you kind of like not remember what happened, and then was there a point where whatever happened like kind of wore off, and all of a sudden you were like, what were your thoughts when it all wore off, and what could you remember everything or?
No, I didn't remember everything. I don't remember when they say I pulled my pants down. I didn't remember that. That was the point until when I lost my mind, and well, that was about it. When I was talking with my friend, with Carlos and Ray, I remembered part of that. But after that, they say I just went crazy, and I assume I did, you know, because I mean I was under influence of some crazy stuff. So they give it to me, and I should not take it, you know, because I was in another country, and that was just a really strange stuff. And
did you when you kind of like remember it, were you like in jail, or was it later than that, or before that, or? Yeah. Do you remember like the police coming?
Nah, yeah, I kind of remember that, but not really well, you know, because everything that was just I thought that was kind of in a dream, you know. I didn't realize that was real. So when I wake up in the middle of the jail, supposedly, well, I was like really shocked, you know. I was completely shocked, and I was just praying, you know, to nothing bad happened to me, you know.
Now, we should like get so then anyway you got out, and basically you were sent home, and then you got the word that you were being terminated. Do you have any like thoughts as far as, you know, you'd been with the company for several years and thought maybe unfair, or did you just kind of, I mean, what were your thoughts that you kind of like, you know, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, it's kind of like your world crumbled?
Well, actually, you know, when they let me go, I asked my lawyer, the lawyer today find for me, you know, what is the situation? Can I still be able to work and finish the tour? And they say, yeah, you need to talk with your company, and you just need to tell them what they want to do with you. So I tried to tell them. I tried to contact them, and you know, Terry and some of the people who was there, and well, they just don't let me go. They take me straight to the plane. They say, "Cool, but you gotta go home." And I was like, I mean, to Mexico, and then I stay here, you know, in California. So I think he wants me to work with him. He wants me to do something with the company, with AAA, and maybe I do, you know. I mean, I got a lot of things to do. I mean, I would like to be working. My priority is to be working here in the United States, and you know, with the same people and with the same ambient, you know. I like AAA, and I'm not saying it's bad, you know. Maybe I can go there and do really good stuff for the company too, you know. But right now, you know, my priority is to be working here in United States, and well, I don't know, maybe I can do something for them too, you know.
We talked a little bit about the recent stuff. We want to give everyone about your background. You actually started wrestling very, very young. Your father was a famous pro wrestling heel, Rudo, in Mexico City. And was that kind of like where you got your start? And did you also have, are there other members of your family that have done wrestling?
No, just my father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you start going to matches with your father at a very young age?
Yeah, when I was really young, I used to go with my father. You know, I used to watch my father in the ring, and even when I was like 6, 7 years old, I used to go to the gym, and I used to train with some other sons wrestlers, you know, and I used to play with them in the gym, and the father used to be the referees, And I really got a good memories about that, you know.
And when they, how old were you when you first started wrestling professionally?
16. I was getting 17, between 16 and 17.
Now, when I would have first saw you in AAA, how long had you been wrestling then? When you first started being getting on television in Mexico?
I think 18, something like that. 18.
So probably a little over a year?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And how was that transition like? Because first year or so that you were on AAA, I mean, you kind of became a big star in a hurry.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was really difficult for me because in the beginning, I was, come on, give me the opportunity to be working. I mean, that was just, I know that was maybe just a really strange thing, but I mean, I want to finish the tour. I want to be working here in Australia, and I want to do, and maybe, I don't know if that was wrong or bad, but I was just trying to do that because I asked even the police, you know, if that was really bad, you know, if I can be able, even my lawyer told me I was able to work. So they say no, they sent me home, and when I realized that, I realized that was maybe gonna be something really bad for me. And so after a couple of days, Diana Myers called me and they said, you know, Hubi, you are out of the contract, and so I'm sorry. And I said, oh my God.
You think it was because you got so much publicity on TV about it?
Maybe I think so. You know, and well, the thing is too, I tried to get back my job. I went to Atlanta to talk with Diana, and she wasn't there. So I just realized to something like that. Oh, that was something that gotta happen to me. I don't know why. Maybe I was the guy to make the consequence, you know. But I mean, I just my thought was to, in that moment, I just gotta be strong, you know. I gotta be strong, like always I've been, and you know, just right now I'm just trying to get back the respect of the people, you know, because I'm not a really bad guy, you know. I just make a mistake, just like like everybody, you know. And well, you know, it's a really bad and sad situation, you know, for a worker like me, you know.
Oh yeah. Now you last week went back to AAA, and Pena. It's been several years since you've worked for him. How did that all go?
That was really good, you know. That was really interesting, you know, for me, because I didn't expect Antonio Pena went to the show, because that was not a TV show, that was just a big show. So I was flying from Mexico, and I saw Antonio Pena, and he was there, you know, just to see me. So we went to Tijuana, and for some reason we didn't talk, you know, we didn't have a good conversation. So the next day he fly back to home, trying to be a baby face, because I used to get a lot of moves, you know, and crazy stuff in my mind, you know, to actually have. And so that was my intention, you know, be a baby face, and can't be flying around and do crazy spots. And you know, my father was one of the biggest healers in Mexico, so he told me, you know, son, you gotta be a healer, boy. So I was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm so young, and I'm really light also, you know. My weight is not so big, so let me be a baby face. And he got mad, you know, just like every father, you know. So you gotta do this because I'm this and this and that. And I was like, oh fuck, so I have to. So in the beginning, you know, in Mexico, you gotta carry on the baby face. You gotta be a base for the baby face. So that teach me a lot to me, you know, teach me how to be a good heel in the beginning of my career, because later on I realized what is to be a baby face, you know. So I think was good, because now I got the compliment to know what is to be a heel and to know what is to be a baby face, you know. And the first years I was working in the very beginning of the programs, you know, in the very first matches, and with the and after maybe a year, a couple months, maybe a year, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, they was already working almost on the main events in AAA. So they give me the opportunity because I was doing well. They give me the opportunity to be working with them, and from there I just jump. I just make a big explosion, and Rey Mysterio and myself, we start to work again with each other, and from there we start to make this new generation, with Psychosis, Super Calo, Winners, some of those guys,
That was a really wild time in AAA. It was kind of like, I just remember going to those shows in Tijuana and some of the other cities. It was really spectacular wrestling. Now, I thought that you were, it was actually fortunate that you were a heel because you made such a natural opponent for Ray, and you guys, you were a little bit bigger than him, but you weren't, so you could play heel off of him, but you were all, basically his size, so you could kind of fight even back and forth. And, you and him had, like,